Hello everyone, a very good noon to all of you. I am Nikita and I welcome you to this session CMAT Grammar Boosted. So we are going to talk about some grammar questions from CMAT today, right? And these questions are your memory based previous year questions so that they are highly relevant for you, right? And through these we'll learn some grammar concepts that's also on the agenda, right? So this is the goal of our session. We'll look at some grammar concepts tested in CMAT, but how? Through questions. Okay, so hi Jonty. All right. Now, before I begin, you should know how much grammar actually comes in CMAT, right? So, although it's not fixed, but if I talk about last year, there were 20 questions in all in language comprehension, and out of those, 5 were from grammar, right? So, this is something that I have analyzed with you earlier as well in one of our earlier sessions. In these 5 grammar questions, we had one preposition question. So preposition is one important area when it comes to your management entrance tests. You can get fill in the blanks based on prepositions, error correction questions, error spotting questions based on prepositions. Then another area is direct indirect speech. Now, direct indirect speech, it's not something that has been constant over the years in CMAT, so to say. But yes, last year it appeared, and therefore you should prepare for direct indirect speech as well. So my suggestion to you would be do not ignore topics such as direct indirect speech, then active passive voice, right? Don't ignore that also. And one more topic that is often neglected is question tags. So don't ignore these topics. Why? Because these peripheral topics may appear in your grammar section. All right. Hi Rishika. Hello. Yes, definitely. And it is actually very achievable when it comes to CMAT because even your RC passage questions, see, 2 of them were fact-based last year. One was vocabulary and one was main idea, right? So that means that at least 3 out of these you can get correct very easily. Even if, let's say, you do not grasp the main idea in the exam, then also you can at least attempt fact-based and vocabulary questions. Parajumble has options, MCQ parajumbles. Vocabulary, if you prepare for it, then again, last year, not very difficult words were asked, high frequency words were asked. So it is quite achievable. 18 plus is quite achievable out of 20 in CMAT, right? Now, I was talking to you about this, that these peripheral topics are also something that you should pay attention to when it comes to CMAT. And the question types that you get are your usual question types, not very fancy question types, so to say. Okay, identify the correct incorrect sentence, fill in the blanks, error spotting, sentence correction where just a fragment of the sentence is underlined and you have to choose the correct version of it. So these are the question types and the topics that come in grammar, right? So you should be thorough with all your parts of speech, first thing. In parts of speech, don't just look at them superficially. Prepare for prepositions in depth. Prepare for verbs and their properties in depth, right? So the properties of verbs are tense, voice, active passive voice, mood, which has your hypothetical conditionals also. So prepare for these areas well. Subject verb agreement. Prepare for it. Okay, it's a very fertile ground for error based questions. Then sometimes modifier and parallelism based questions can also appear. Again, I have discussed these things with you. I'm just, recapitulating it for you. So let me just show you the important grammar areas here. Parts of speech with particular focus on preposition, verbs and their properties, and articles, your and the, right? Then subject verb agreement because it is a fertile ground for questions. Reported speech, direct indirect speech, and lastly modifiers and parallelism. These are 2 new areas for you in grammar wherein we focus on, let's say, the consistency of our sentences or the adjectives and adverbs that are used in the sentences. Okay, adjective phrases, adverb phrases. All right, so this much is clear to you, right? What you have to prepare for. Last year, 20% of the language comprehension section was grammar, right? Hi, Aries. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Don't feel nervous. Okay. Is it Aries? Have you tried to write Aries here? All right. So let's look at each of these question types: error spotting, sentence correction, identify the correct, incorrect sentence, and fill in the blanks. Right? Okay, then. This is the first question on your screen. Tell me which preposition fits the best here? Yes. Eliminate and then tell me. Sure, Sava. After this question, I'll just give you a brief of it. Okay. So Muskan says in. Prajwal says, okay, the message was deleted. All right. B is what most of you say. A plane flies above the clouds, isn't it? Right. So absolutely correct. Because again, when you fly, the clouds are below you, right? The clouds are below you. They are not in direct contact with you. So that's why I did not say on here, even though there was no option called on, but on would be incorrect here. It is above that would be correct. On means a contact with the surface, whereas above means at a higher position than the other thing. All right, so above. Okay. Now, how about this question? From the options given below, I'll talk to you about reported speech. Don't worry, I have a question of reported speech today. So when we come to it, I'll discuss that. Yes. From the options given below, fill in the blank with the word or phrase that most appropriately completes the following sentence. Yes. So in that case, Muskan, I would say the plane flew amid the clouds. Okay, amid the clouds. If they are surrounding the plane and the plane is in the middle, then we would say that the plane was flying amid the clouds. All right. So I've got what, 5 responses? What about others? Okay. C is what I've got from most of you. I think the others concur. Yes. So the Supreme Court dash the decree. What is a decree? Order. Okay. Order. So the Supreme Court dashed the decree of the lower court. Now, you are absolutely right in saying it will be set aside. What does that mean? Set aside? So if I say I set aside 500 rupees for that purse, let's say. So that means I just earmarked them for a purse. But here, that's not the idea. So how come am I using set aside? Because set aside has two meanings. One is yes, to earmark something for a particular purpose. The other is to reject. So the Supreme Court rejected the decree of the lower court. That's what we mean here. Right. So what are these? These are called phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs. This is actually a vocabulary question. Okay. Even though it looks like a grammar question, in fact, you could say that it's a mix of grammar plus vocab. How? Phrasal verbs are groups of words. Phrases are what? Groups of words. So basically, it is a verb plus a preposition or an adverb. A verb plus a preposition or an adverb carrying a fixed meaning. Carrying a fixed meaning. Okay. So for instance, if I say she looks up to him, that it's not that she is literally looking up. She thinks of him as her role model. He walked out on her. He abandoned her. To walk out on someone is to abandon them, right? Then, if I say, look up the dictionary, Again, I'm not asking you to literally look up. I'm asking you to search something in the dictionary. So these are phrasal verbs, verb plus a preposition or an adverb carrying a fixed meaning. And that is why you have to learn these meanings. You should know what these meanings are. Therefore, one source that I would suggest to you, see, one is that your previous year papers will have phrasal verb questions. Especially, CAT early papers, they'll have a lot of phrasal verb questions because CAT used to ask phrasal verbs. Apart from that, if you want to learn them, there is this website called phrases.org.uk. It is a repository of phrasal verbs from A to Z in an alphabetical order, so you can at least see some from there, right? So there's a phrasal verb of the day also that on this website, a phrase of the day also. You can go for that. In case you feel, oh, this is too much, because actually this is a huge repository, then Renan Martin, the grammar book, has a chapter on phrasal verbs. It calls the name of the chapter is idioms, but it has phrasal verbs. Okay, so go through that once. That is a list of about 250 phrasal verbs, so that is relatively limited, right? So I'm also giving you sources from where to prepare stuff. Earlier we saw preposition question. In my opinion, for prepositions also, the best source is the Renan Martin chapter on prepositions, because it has a lot of questions after, at intervals. It has a lot of questions on preposition, so you can practice those. And of course, previous year papers are always there. So all your non-CAT previous year papers will have preposition questions. Clear? So the answer here is set aside. Now, what do the other words mean? We should know that as well, right? So let's have a look at the other phrasal verbs. Set, store, by. So although just set by was written, the phrasal verb is set, store, by. When you set store by something, many people set much store by privacy. That means you give a lot of importance to it, right? So that is the meaning of to set store by something. That means you think that it's an important concern, right? You know again, uh, that's why you basically want privacy, because you think it's important. That's the idea. So let's call it that it is important for you. Set against. His bitter words have set her against him. So what would it mean? Yes, I want you to respond. I know all of these. So just infer the meaning. Let's say you do not know the meaning, but just infer it. So his bitter words have set her against him. Now, are they friends? No, they are rather in conflict with each other, right? They are probably enemies, but they are definitely not friends, okay? So when someone is set against someone else, that means they have some sort of a conflict. Now, set over, just like set aside, has two meanings. What are those two meanings? One is the literal meaning. I set the picture over the fireplace. So setting something over another thing, right? So physically placing something at a higher position. So I set the picture over the fireplace. The film is set over just a few hours. Set over just a few hours. So here, what are we talking about? The film is set over. The film is not placed anywhere, definitely. So set over a few hours. That means in the movie, the time frame that has been shown is just a few hours, right? So set over means that what is the backdrop, what is the setting of a particular thing. So here we are talking about the backdrop, the setting of a movie, and we can say that the backdrop, the setting is just a span of few hours, right? So I hope you'll remember these words: set, store by, consider something important; set against, be in conflict; set over, physically place at a higher position or spanning a particular period. Here, okay, spanning a duration or being this particular thing being the setting or backdrop of something. Set aside, again, two meanings: reject or to earmark. All right. So let's have look at the next question. Now, this is a full-fledged sentence-based question, right? So I should have numbered these. Okay, they are numbered here. Yes, because this is a previous year question. They were numbered like this in the exam as well. So I kept that numbering. Now, you have to tell me Which of these options are, states the grammatically correct sentences? Let's see what you say here. What do you say? I want 33 responses, nothing less. Okay, I've got my first response. Piyush says A, is it? All right. So in case you are confused with the word, CN is a net, a fishing net. Okay. So the vocabulary part I hope is now sorted. You have to sort the grammar part. So I've got A, C, all right. So 1 and 2, do they have any error? One says when a magnifying glass was used, the cell appeared green. Okay. So it is a passive construction. However, it is grammatically correct, right? When a magnifying glass was used in the passive voice, so this is in the passive voice, this verb, the cell appeared green. Okay, so correct, no error here. That's why B is rejected. 2. Under a magnifying glass. Now here you stated a clause. What is a clause? Something that has a subject and a verb both. Here on the other hand, instead of a clause, you just used a phrase. That's the only difference. So instead of putting a complete clause with a subject and a verb, you just kept a phrase here, under a magnifying glass. Under a magnifying glass, the cell appeared green. Even this is absolutely fine. So no error in 1 and 2. Now let's have a look at 3 and 4. When a large catch of fish was desired, again passive voice, was desired, a CN was hauled, again passive voice. So there is consistency in the sentence. The passive voice has been used in both the clauses, this clause also and this clause also. So when a large catch of fish was desired, a CN was hauled through the water. No error here as well. And the moment you realize this, you found your answer. All the 4 sentences are correct. Okay. When a CN was hauled through the water, many fish were caught. Some of you must be thinking, why not fishes? Okay, this is what you're thinking. Hauled, that means you actually put it in water in order to catch the fish, right? Some of you, are you thinking that it should be fishes? No, the plural of fish is fish itself. We use fishes in the case when we want to talk about different species of fish. When we want to talk about different species of fish, then we use fishes. Okay. So if I'm talking about a starfish, jellyfish, shark, whale, different species, then I'll call them fishes. All right. So, not necessary, Piyush. See, through the water, it means that it went through the water, right? It was hauled through the water. That means you also brought it back, right? Into the water just indicates the entry. Through the water indicates the complete movement. So, through is not incorrect. All right. And that is why D, Delhi, 1, 2, 3, and 4. All are correct. Make sense to everyone? If not, please tell me. This is a slightly trickier question. Haul means to pull, drag with a force, right? Hope that is clear. Okay. All right then. Now, let's have a look at the next question. So, here one sentence has been written in 4 different ways. You have to tell me which construction is grammatically correct. In such questions, I always advise you to read vertically. Spot the differences here. So, for instance, he failed, he had failed. He failed, he had failed. So, two differences right here. I mean, one difference, A and C are similar, but B and D are different. So, I found one difference here. Right. Similarly, proceed. CN is a fishing net, Karthik. Let's see what you say. Easy question. I've got 3 responses. Okay, 4. All right. So, there's a crucial difference that you will see in here. You'll see it here, right? Although is itself a contrasting conjunction, isn't it? So, although is a conjunction that indicates contrast. Similarly, but is also a conjunction that reflects a contrast. So, once I've used although, I do not need a but. So, A and C eliminated right away. Now, look at B and D. Why this that here? Although he had failed in mathematics, fine. That he received a degree in engineering. What is the purpose of this that? It is redundant. We don't need a that here. So, B Bangalore. Although he had failed in mathematics, he received a degree in engineering. So, let's say his engineering was of 4 years, right? Now, during the second year, in the fourth semester, he failed in mathematics. But at the end of the fourth year, he still received a degree in engineering. So, what will I say in order to indicate the sequence of events? Although he had failed in mathematics, the first action will take a had. He still received a degree in engineering. He received a degree in engineering. So, he had here and he received here. Hope now it is clear to you why the had. Okay, so he had failed earlier in mathematics, but then also at the end of the fourth year, he received a degree in engineering. So far, so good. Any query, please ask. All right. Let's come to the fifth question then. Let's see what you say here. So again, now here a part of the sentence is underlined. There shouldn't be any full stops here. Okay. Yeah. No full stops here. You have to tell me which is the correct phrase, which is the correct way of phrasing this sentence. Kaustubh says A, all right. Aman says A. Okay. Okay. D also I've got. B as well. Why D Delhi? We desire. Why to change this want? Yes. See, when we attempt these grammar questions, no, our effort should be to choose such a group of words, to choose such an option that makes the minimum changes but makes the sentence grammatically correct. So we want to stick to the original version as much as we can while making it grammatically correct. So that's why anticipate and desire Eliminated. Okay, it is between A and B. Now, between A and B, anticipate is we expect. When you anticipate, you expect something, right? So, now between A and B, actually, if you ask me, so this is a previous year question, that is why I'm discussing this with you. If you ask me, both are correct. I'll tell you how. The meanings of both the sentences are different, but both are correct. So when we say we want him to be the teacher who has the best rapport with the students. So let's say you are talking to a teacher in your school, right? In fact, you're talking about a teacher in your school, and you see a lot of potential in that teacher. So you say that I want him to be the teacher who has the best rapport with the students. So he can be that teacher who has the best rapport with the students. So in that case, if you mean that, then A is absolutely correct. Nothing wrong with it, right? However, there is nothing wrong with B as well. So here you are saying we want that person to be the teacher. So we want the teacher to be that person who has the best rapport with the students. So let's say now you're selecting teachers, right? And you want the teacher to be that person who has the best rapport with the students. You don't want to select anyone else. You get it? So there's a difference in the meaning. Now, because I want to make minimum changes, as I told you, that is why I will go with B and not A. Right? I understand that in a lot of on a lot of websites, at a lot of places where the memory-based paper for CMAT is given, A is extended as the answer. But if I want to keep it as close to the original as possible, then it is B that is keeping it as close to the original as possible while making it grammatically correct. Hence, B. Make sense? Yes. Need to know this. We want the teacher to be, when I say he, it means that person. We want the teacher to be he who has the best rapport with the students. Okay, all right. So I hope this is clear and I'm moving to the next one. I hope this is also clear to you that both the sentences are correct, just that their meanings are different. Why should we stick to? Because Vaidehi, we want to retain the meaning that the author, that the speaker intended for this subject, and him is the object of this verb, right? Subject is for a verb, similarly object is for a verb. So we want, he will be incorrect here. You're absolutely right in saying that. It should be we want him. Why? Because want ka object hai ye, that is why. Okay. Now here in this sentence, look at what is happening. This is the verb, this is the subject of this verb, this is the object. This is the object of the verb, right? Now, to be, if you look at this, he who has the best rapport. Now, who is a pronoun? Who is a pronoun? But what kind of a pronoun is it? Is it a subject pronoun or an object pronoun? Tell me. If let's say you looked at it as a question, let's say you looked at it as a question, who has the best rapport? What will your answer be? He has the best rapport or him has the best rapport? Your answer will be he has the best rapport, right? Not him. So this who is actually referring to he. It is not referring to him because who is a subject pronoun, right? So we want the teacher to be, let's replace this he with the name of a person, let's say, or with, let's say, that person. Then I think there's no confusion, isn't it? We want the teacher to be that person. So he just refers to that person here. Okay? All right. Make sense to everyone? Clear? Okay, I'm assuming it is. And moving on to the next question. Yes. So you have to fill in the blank with the appropriate word or words. Let's see what you say. Harris dashed 13 pages when his laptop crashed. This is clearly a tenses question, isn't it? So, when his laptop crashed, so a moment is given to me, right? Now, it is in the past tense, first of all. That's the first thing to notice. So, I'll eliminate A and C right away. Then The choice is between B and D. So Harris had completed something. No, when this happened, when his laptop crashed. So again, we need the past perfect tense here. Just like although he had failed in mathematics. So similar logic here as well, that the action of typing started earlier, right? The crashing happened later. And in order to show that sequence of events that he had already completed this when the laptop crashed, I will put a had here. Hence, B Bangalore. Okay. All right. Any queries so far? Please ask. So we are right in the middle of the session right now. If there's any query in the previous 6 questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, here's a question for you. Choose the appropriate option for the underlined phrase. Why not C? Because C is in the present tense, no? The laptop crashed in the past. Okay, so I need to use the past here as well. Okay. Surabhi says C for this one, for question 7. Shivam says C. Shubham says C. Akash C. Shilpa C. Vamsi C. All right. Everyone says C, is it? So this is what I was talking about when I said that, you have two new areas, modifiers and parallelism. This is what parallelism is, right? So here he would not mind standing. So he would not mind one thing, right? I'm naming that thing. And this is another thing that he would not mind. So they should be consistent, right? Why standing here and why just eat here? So he would not mind standing and eating the dinner. Why not A though? He would not mind stand and eat the dinner because I need to name something here. I need a noun here. I don't need a verb here. Okay. So that's why standing and eating. Stand plus ing is acting as a noun here. Such nouns are called gerunds. Okay. So he would not mind activity A and activity B. C. All right. Let's see this one, an error spotting question. Let's see what you say here. No sentence, it says, has more than one error. If you think there is no error in any part, you can choose option D. Okay. Ari says A, Shilpa A, Jonty B, Shubham A. All right, so it's okay. 1A, 1B mostly is okay. Shivam says no error. All right. Let's have a look. If she will be promoted, she will get a higher salary. Now, in conditional sentences, these are what we call conditional sentences because if means a condition, right? I understand that both the actions are going to happen in the future. I absolutely understand. However, in English, when we put something as a condition, even when we talk about a future event, so I understand that both these things are going to happen in the future itself, but we use the future tense only with the outcome, not with the condition. So with the condition, we use the present tense. If she is promoted, she will get a higher salary. So if she is promoted, this is the condition. She will get a higher salary. This is the outcome. Okay. So only with the outcome, we use the future tense. With the condition, we use the present tense. Okay. Correct, Piyush. Okay. A is the answer. Hope this makes sense to you. Now I hope now you'll remember how do we put conditional sentences for future events? How do we write them? Okay. Now, question 9. It looks like a vocabulary question, but it is not. So, sabotage comes from the French saboteur, which means to clatter with wooden shoes, sabots. Okay, so these wooden shoes are called sabots. Now, here this part has been rephrased. This underlined part has been put in 4 different ways. You have to tell me which is the correct way, right? So it's not a vocabulary question, even though it has sabotage. Uh, I just saw your messages. Why noun is only used in previous question? I didn't get you. Karthik, that would also be correct. If she is promoted, she may get a higher salary. Okay, or if she is promoted, she might get a higher salary is also correct. However, she might get a higher salary is more informal. Okay, so you could, if let's say you were talking about her with your friends, then you can say if she, if she gets promoted or if she is promoted, she might get a higher salary. Correct. In informal conversations. Informal conversations for expressing possibilities, we prefer may. So if she is promoted, she may get a higher salary. All right. Okay. So D, A, C, B, I've got pretty much everything here. I think what you needed to notice here was this comma. That would have really solved the question for you. The question was really bit, it wanted you to understand the difference between which and that. Okay, which versus that. So both are used as relative pronouns, right? Relative pronouns, those pronouns that refer to something that comes before them. So which here refers to saboteur. It is a pronoun here which refers to saboteur that came before it, and then afterwards we talk more about these nouns. That is the feature of relative pronouns. So if I say he is the man, even who is a relative pronoun. Okay, so if I say he is the man who helped me, who helped me. So what am I doing here? What is who doing here? Who refers to the man and tells me something more about the man. Similarly, which refers to saboteur and tells me something more about saboteur. Right? So that's the first thing, that both of them are relative pronouns. Now, when to use which, when to use that. Which is used when whatever follows is not essential information, it is rather additional information. Right? So you tell me, is this the main information that you wanted to convey? Or was the main information this, that sabotage comes from the French saboteur? Then you added this idea later on that, okay, this is what saboteur means. So this is additional information and not essential information. In fact, to indicate that this is this is additional information, you've put a comma here, right? So when we put a comma and then put which, then I have to put a relative pronoun after it. I cannot put that after it because a comma here indicates that whatever information follows is additional information. So C and D eliminated right away. Hmm. Now the choice is between A and B. So why this unnecessary comma after means, which means then a comma? No, the comma is not really required here, which means to clatter with wooden shoes. So A, the original construction is absolutely fine. No error here. Okay. All right. Now, how about that? When do we use that? So this was an example showing you the usage of which. Let's see the usage of that as well. So this is one of my favorite sentences to explain this. Leaves that or which have chlorophyll are green. leaves that or which have chlorophyll are green, right? So here, look at this piece of information. If I delete it, if I delete it, the sentence that would remain is leaves are green. Leaves are green. But was that my intention? Did I want to say that? That, leaves generally are green? No, I wanted to say specific types of leaves are green. So this information is essential information and not additional information, which cannot come here. It has to be that. So that's how you decide the difference between which and that. Here additional, that's why which. Here essential, that's why that. Okay, somebody is asking about the seventh question. Just a second. Yes, what's the, so why noun? Okay, because I would not mind, I would not mind, let's say, swimming. I would not mind, let's say somebody asks you, do you want to go, do you want to um, travel with us? So I would say, no, yeah, I would not mind traveling with you, right? I would not mind swimming, okay, with so and so person. I would not mind eating. So I have to basically tell here what would I not mind. When what types of words answer what? Nouns answer the question what, right? So here I cannot use verbs. I would not mind swim. No. I would not mind travel. No. I would not mind eat. I would not mind standing, eating, swimming, traveling. I need nouns here, right? Okay. Hope this helps. All right. So far so good. Can we move to the 10th question? Tell me. You have to pick the correct option here. Tell me which of the sentences is or are correct. So Sanket, have you taken any mocks so far? Or any, like, attempted any previous year paper like a paper, okay, in a under a time constraint? So I think that should be the first step. That will actually reveal a lot of things to you. Which section is your strength? Which is your weakness? What topics are your strength? What are your weaknesses? And accordingly, you can start working on them, right? Okay, so I've got A, C, all right. B also, a couple of B's. All right. So A, those who say A, one is correct, but second is incorrect. Why? Why is second incorrect? So both are correct here. Both 1 and 2 are correct. It is nothing other than greed is also correct. It is nothing else but greed is also correct. Okay. So I actually modified a previous year question here, and probably that confused some students. In the question that you got in the previous year, it is nothing other but greed, something of that sort. Okay, so one was correct, one was incorrect. I actually rephrased both of them, and here both the constructions are correct. It is nothing other than greed. That means you want to say it is purely greed. Okay, and it is nothing else but greed. Again, both the sentences have the same meaning. They have the same meaning. They are just two different ways of writing the same thing. Both are correct. Okay, so the but here has been used to mean except. But has not been used as a conjunction here. It has been used as a preposition here. And it means except. It is nothing else except greed. All right. You are saying that else is redundant. It is nothing but greed. Nothing except greed. Mm, nothing else. You have a point there. It is nothing else. Let me think about this. You have a point because it is nothing but greed also makes sense. It conveys the idea perfectly. Okay, so let me just think if else would actually be a redundancy here. Okay, I'll get back to you on this. Meanwhile, you attempt the 11th question, right? Let me think about this. Yes, so here comes the direct indirect speech question that you were asking about. I want you to tell me uh, which is the correct one here. Okay, so I've got C, D, B. All right. I hope, I mean, just a second. So Anu has asked this. I think earlier one more student asked this. So I wish I could tell you what the date is, what the expected date is, but unfortunately I don't have answers to these questions. Okay, I wish I were an oracle and I could predict it for you. I can't do that. So we have to just wait and watch. Okay. Uh, all right. See, so this is in the direct speech. Now, what is direct speech? When you directly quote what someone said. Okay, so you put it in quotes, right? That means you exactly put it the way that person put it. So she wrote. Okay, now you are telling that, okay, that day she wrote. What did she wrote? What did she write? Sorry. I am waiting for my child's return. Right. So you exactly quoted her. But if you want to put it in your own words, if you want to report it, right, you want to tell it indirectly, how will you put it? So she wrote remains the same. Okay, she wrote remains the same. See the reporting verb, this is called the reporting verb. The reporting verb remains the same. No changes to it. So D becomes automatically incorrect. All right. She wrote that she is, has been, was. First of all, this is present simple, right? I am waiting. Present continuous, my bad. This is present continuous. I am waiting. So present continuous in direct speech changes to past continuous in indirect speech. So she wrote that day that I am waiting. So today when you will report it, you'll say she wrote that she was waiting. She wrote that she was waiting for her child's return. So C is going to be the answer here. Is waiting? No. Present changes to past. Okay. Similarly, has been waiting? No. Okay. Present changes to past itself, nothing else. So C is the answer here. Clear? Okay. All right. Look at this question. This is a voice question. Voice. Voice question. Okay. All right. B, okay. A, C. So I've got multiple answers again. See, he is doing his job well is in the active voice. Active voice. Now you have to convert it to the passive voice. So job becomes the subject then. This is what happens. No, we interchange the subject and the object. So his job becomes the subject. C is automatically rejected. Those who said C, no. Okay, his job has to become the subject. Then this is doing, right? This is present continuous. Now, remember this that here we don't change the tense. In voice, we don't change the tenses. In direct, indirect speech, we change tenses. So here, this is doing. This has to change into the passive, but in the present continuous itself. So is done is incorrect, right? Is being done well. This is the correct construction. Is being done well. Okay. His job is being done well by him is implied, and that's why it has been skipped. Right. Well done, on the other hand, you are changing it to an adjective. See, well done is an adjective. If I say this is a well done job, then well done is being used as an adjective there. I don't need it to be used as an adjective. I need done to be used as a verb. Therefore, be and not D. Okay. Does this make sense to you? Most of you said B. Okay. So, Aditya, I agree that here we have not mentioned the doer, but a lot of times in the passive voice we skip the doer. The reason behind using passive constructions is that you think the doer is not important. The subject is not as important. That is why you would put something in passive voice in the first place, otherwise you won't. So when you think it's not important or it's quite obvious, okay, that he himself is doing the job, you skip this by him. All right. Okay, and yes, I was mulling over the previous question, this question. You are right. Else is incorrect here. Else basically it's not an incorrect construction, but it is redundant, as you said. It's not required. So therefore, I would go with A. Okay, so those who said A, absolutely correct. I second you. Make sense? Any other query in any other question? Please ask. Yes. So good learning today. All right, then I'm assuming that things are clear to you. And now you know what you have to prepare for, right? You know what you have to prepare for in grammar. 20% of your language comprehension section in CMAT was from grammar, right? In case some of you are planning to take the CAT, then you can see our stellar results of last year. And this is a CAT 23 comprehensive program, right? It is, as the name suggests, it's quite comprehensive. You can see that there are live lectures, recorded lectures. There's a lot of material available in the form of mocks, in the form of books, in the form of practice questions. So no dearth of material, expert guidance, and even guidance for the second stage, right? Also, to make this course accessible for you, we have a scholarship. You can avail this by taking the scholarship test on the 15th at 7 p.m. If you perform well, you can get up to a 90% scholarship, right? Then coming to in case you are confused about what your strategy should be for CAT 23, then we have a workshop for you on the 8th at 7 p.m. So do attend this. All right, now a couple of queries here in the chat box. So in active scene, whenever we change the voice, the subject and object do get interchanged. So the construction of active voice is this. See, subject is the doer of the action. Then we have the verb, and then we have the object, which is the receiver of the action. Okay. Passive voice is in passive voice, what we do is the subject becomes the receiver. So what have I done? In a way, I have interchanged them, no? Then we have the verb, and the object is the doer of the action. That is what happens in voice change. Right. Vocabulary is a challenge, I agree. Okay, in case it is a challenge with you, you need to practice more and more questions. Okay, so one is again your memory based previous year questions, your non-CAT paper questions. Here we have a section wise daily quiz for you on the app. In fact, there are some free vocabulary tests that are always available apart from this daily section wise quiz. Go and attempt as many vocabulary questions as you can, right? Build a pool of words. I would suggest that you can go for a word list also. At least Barron's 800 you can go for. So one is the previous year paper questions, PYPQs. Okay, because a lot of times even when we know the meanings of words, we find the application to be difficult. So that this will take care of that. And to build a pool of high frequency words, Barron's 800 list, I think you can comfortably learn 800 words. That's not a challenge. This is divided by 15. Learn 15 words every day, right? And whatever you can accumulate from this 800, that will be a good value addition for you. Okay. Also, I have conducted a lot of vocabulary sessions. So the top 50 vocabulary words, vocabulary through roots. You'll find a lot of sessions on our YouTube channel of vocabulary, right? Yes, these quizzes are free. And yes, we are starting with this series called 500 Most Expected CAT Questions from April 6th. So do join us, right? And we will talk about all the areas here: RC passages, para summary, para completion, para jumbles, everything. Okay. And this is where we are, right? So, YouTube, I'm very sure you've subscribed to it already. You can download the app for various free quizzes, and we are also there on various social media websites, right? So, do follow us. All right, then, this is it from my end. I'll see you in the next session. And don't worry, there'll be a lot of CMAX sessions this month. Okay, so don't worry. All right. Bye bye. See you.